Senator Babet.
Thank you, President. My question is for the Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, Minister Watts. Minister, we've seen the unscientific decisions made by the Western Australian and Victorian state governments to shut down native forestry in their states. Australia is already a net timber importer, and because we'll be producing less timber locally, which countries are Australia going to source their timber floors, timber decks, timber furniture, wood to build houses, etc. from, especially since we're going to be importing so many more migrants? And do these countries practice sustainable forestry where at least one tree is planted for every tree harvested, as we do currently in Australia? So where's our wood going to come from? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Babet. Minister Watt.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Babet, for the question. I've obviously been asked questions about forestry on a number of occasions by representatives of the Greens, but I welcome questions from other senators on this topic as well. And Senator Babet, the question that you asked goes to what I've said when I've been asked about this issue beforehand, which is that the Albanese government supports a sustainable forestry industry. We support the communities that rely on that industry. And the reality is that the calls from some to eliminate native forestry on a very short timetable would leave us open to exactly the problems that you're talking about, Senator Babet. We are at a point in Australia where around about 87% of our timber and wood needs are met by plantation timber, and that number does seem to be growing. So there are more and more uses for plantation timber. But the reality is that as things currently stand, we do rely on Australian native forestry to produce a number of products, including some of the home furnishings and other high-grade products that you're talking about, Senator Babet. And if we were to follow the calls of some to eliminate that industry very, very quickly, then that would leave us open to the need for imports from other countries which do have, in general, lower environmental standards to Australia. So what we want to do as the federal government is work with the states, work with the territories, work with industries, work with the community to ensure that we can meet our forestry and timber needs. And that's exactly why, heading into the election, we made around $300 million of commitments to expand the forestry industry, to modernise it, to improve its efficiency, to improve the skill base of its workers, to actually plant more plantations. That's what we want to do, to develop that sustainable forestry industry that all Australians rely on, not to mention the regional communities in particular that depend upon it for their livelihoods and their local economies.
Thank you, Minister Watt. Senator Babet, first supplementary.
Thank you, Minister. So the native forest workforce, they're obviously skilled forest firefighters, and they assist our firemen and women in fighting bushfires. Now, in the 2019-2020 fires, 284 forest contractors used 190 harvesting machines to save rural properties and save lives. Since we're shutting down the native industry in Victoria, the timber harvesting industry, what work, if any, is being done by you to help next fire season?
Thank you, Senator Babet. Minister Watt.
Thanks, Senator Babet. And your question goes to one of the other reasons that we need to have a sustainable forestry industry, and that is the role that our foresters play in ensuring that forests are maintained in a way that reduces bushfire risk. And that's, of course, a very real risk as we enter this summer in many parts of the country. The work that our foresters do to maintain those forests, preserve bushfire trails and all sorts of other things in our forests, that is critical work to making sure that we do prevent that bushfire risk. And again, if we were to proceed down the path that some are calling for in immediately locking up forests in a way that wouldn't allow for that kind of forest management activity, that does present a risk of increasing the risk of bushfires, something that we need to take seriously. So that's why these matters are not simple matters. They don't work simply as bumper sticker slogans that some are fond of using. We need to actually approach these issues carefully and in a considered manner, and that's what we're doing.
Senator Babet, second supplementary.
Thank you. So last year, the Prime Minister, he made an election commitment to protect the Tasmanian native forest industry. He said, "I promise that if I become Prime Minister, government I lead will not shut down the native forest industry in Tasmania." Why won't the government show the workers in Victoria the same support that they have given in Tasmania? Is it because Tasmania is the last Liberal state? Is that what's going on?
Thank you, Senator Babet. Minister.
Senator Babet, I know you've attempted to transform yourself into Inspector Clouseau by solving the mystery there, but I'm afraid to say that you're incorrect there. You are correct that the Prime Minister did make a commitment to Tasmanian forestry workers and Tasmanian forestry communities heading into the election that this government would not shut down Tasmania's forestry industry. I can't remember the exact terms of that commitment, and I know that was a commitment that Senator Duniam welcomed, but more so the Tasmanian senators sitting on this side of the chamber who very much appreciate the importance of the forestry industry to Tasmania. So that's exactly why we are, as I said before, investing in our forestry industry, because we do want to see it continue. It's not going to remain exactly the same. As I say, there is an increase in plantation timber going on, but we're investing $300 million to modernise this industry, to upskill its workers to be able to use the higher forms of technology that are coming online, build those plantation estates and continue to undertake notification.
Yeah, that's my kind of party. The United Australia Party. So sound the starting gun. You know we've just begun to make Australia